We are up and running everywhere. Okay. I gotta tell you, people are really showing who they are when it comes to certain cases. Uh, things happen in the world, and it's fine that people have different opinions of what happens, but I mean, sometimes um, opinions don't really count, you know? Hello, Taquito. So, for instance, we have this Lindsay Clancy case. She admitted that she murked her three children brutally. Her defense team admitted that she murked her three children brutally. And yet, all of these social media conspiracy theorists want to come up and say, um, he did it. And meanwhile, there's been zero evidence because all you have to do is read about the case, right? There's been zero evidence suggesting he did it. No one on the defense side has suggested he did it. But because there's women out there that hate men, they just want to blame the guy. And they want to ignore the fact that she did this thing and is just trying to explain why she did it. That's what the case is. The case is not who did it, because we know who did it. Because the person who did it admitted to committing the crime, and the person's defense team, the people in charge of defending her in the case, have admitted that she committed the crime. But people want to come up and go, oh no, he's a cheater. Okay. In what world is a man cheating worse than a woman murking her three children? Please explain that to me. Such fucking childhood mentalities out here. Hey, what the fuck is this person's name? Get to this. Someone's saying goofy shit in the chat already. Fred Zepp said, a true miracle. I ate Taco Bell and shit at Jesus. What a strange thing to say. Noob says God created the planets. He's real. Great, Noob. Come up and give me your proof of that. Charles Wills says, is this a Christian site? Oh, Charles, I'm guessing you're not a detective. Yeah, Fred, you really sound like an idiot, so I'm going to get rid of you. Okay. You admire me. Okay. Thank you for admiring me. But, I mean, isn't it kind of easy to deduce with my, prompt, God is just your imagination, that this is not a Christian site? And okay, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. Okay, you couldn't discern that from the prompt, but no, this is not a Christian site. I'm not anti-Christian either. I am anti-church and I am anti-religion, but I'm not anti-Christian. I just think the Bible's goofy, but that's another. Teach me to be a non-believer? No one has to be taught to be a non-believer. You either believe or you don't. That's the whole lesson. There you goes. Book 1, chapter 1, page 1, believe or don't. End of the book. 1 page. That's it. 3 words. That's the whole lesson. Believe or don't. All right, we have a few people in here. Here's what I'd like you to do. I'd like you each to gently press your finger on the screen, either around my nose or my forehead, and what you'll see is that your friends list is going to pop up, and just hit the word send next to each of those names. That sends out an invitation to join the live. While you are doing that, I'm going to play you some music. Now, this song, Come On Feel the Noise, was made popular in the 80s by a band called Quiet Riot. I happen to like their version of it, but it is a cover. Okay, the band that actually came up with the song did so in 1973, and this was Slade. So we're going to hear their version of it.
Baby, baby, baby. No.
Eddie, this is not the intro music to the live. Every live I usually play a song to just get me in the mood, basically. I choose almost always a different song. Sometimes I repeat songs that I particularly love a lot. Have someone requesting up. And by the way, Rehana, good to see you again. And let's remember, everybody, to do that daily heart me, right? And if you're not following me, you have an opportunity to follow me and, send me a heart me, share the live, all that good stuff. So we have She Loves Something. How you doing?
Yeah, what's good? I'm good.
Excellent. So what is your username?
Yeah, she loving.
Interesting. Okay. So my prompt is God is just your imagination. Let me add a little context to that, and then you can tell me how you feel about it. So I have no problem with people imagining whatever they want. I don't care what people imagine. I'm not trying to get people to stop imagining God. You can imagine whatever you want: dragons, unicorns, leprechauns, whatever gets you through the night. However, the only evidence that I've ever seen of God is people saying, I believe in God. Outside of that, I see no evidence for that. So I think that the only place God exists is in people's imagination. Do
Yeah,
you agree or disagree?
No, I disagree. I think that there is evidence for God.
Okay. And before you give me your evidence, what does the word God mean to you?
I'm going to be talking in accordance to Eastern Orthodox Christian God.
I don't care. What does the word God mean to you?
Yeah, so I mean, there's going to be a distinction between the attributes that God
Holy
is
shit,
to.
man. Can you just get to it?
Yeah, I can get to. It's going to be a logically necessary being. It's going to be
Okay.
all loving, all knowing.
Okay, so folks, listen. Coming up here to give your checklist of the shit that you rehearsed is just boring. Okay? So, like, learn how to have a conversation. It's not that hard. I laid out my thoughts very quickly and easily, and because I had to ask too many times, just like fucking lay it out. Lay out the evidence for it, People want to come in here and give speeches like they're fucking campaigning for something. Oh, God. Why spend time talking about something imaginary? Isn't that a waste? No, humanity has been doing that since the beginning of time. We talk about imaginary things all the time. And if it is a waste, well, it's my time to waste. If you think it's a waste, you can feel free to fuck off. I mean, there seems to be this, I don't know what, there's a category of people online that I don't know exactly how they formulated this, but they probably read something about logical fallacies or refutation or argumentation or philosophy, right? Or logic. They've read all or parts of those things. And maybe they're into debate, whatever, that's fine. But they don't seem to be able to just employ those techniques in normal conversation. They have to go through this checklist. They all have to rev up to give you the checklist of all the things that they think they need to say before they get to the point. Feel free to have that mental checklist in your mind. You don't have to say it when you come up here. Just Say what the fuck you want to say. Blocky B, again, if you don't like what I'm doing, why are you still here? If you think I'm wasting my time, then I must be wasting your time too. Why are you still here? That's goofy. I'm not here to satisfy you. I'm here to talk about whatever I want to talk about, and you could either stay or not. But to continuously criticize what I'm doing is a waste of fucking time. Someone's trying to come up. Remember, folks, share out the live, tap that screen. Let's see, we have this person was first, I believe. The other person. Okay, first person that came up, I cannot see your name. Yeah, what is your name?
My name is Lazy.
Excellent. Okay, what's this is I'm 90% certain this is going to go nowhere, but I'll entertain you. So what's on your mind?
I think God is real. I don't think he's just my imagination.
Fantastic. And what is God to you?
I'm a deist. Aesthetic
I didn't
deist.
ask you what you were. I asked you what is God to you?
I don't know what the question means, so you gotta elaborate.
What does the word God mean to you?
Oh, just some powerful mind responsible for the universe.
Responsible for the universe. Great. And you believe that God actually exists?
Yeah,
Okay. And what's your evidence for that?
I think the evidence is that he provides the best explanation for our observations.
That's
What we
not
see in
evidence.
this
That's a
world.
theory. But okay. What's the evidence for that theory?
Sorry?
What is your evidence for that theory?
Yeah, I'm saying the evidence for that theory is that comparing my view with atheism lacks explanatory scope.
Yeah, so that's not proof. That's an assertion, but that's
What
not
do you think?
proof.
What do you think proof is?
Oh boy, here we go. What did I tell you, folks? You see the Phil Bros. This is what they do.
I mean, you're
Right?
hiding behind words, but you don't want to
Yeah.
clarify.
No, I'm hiding behind logic and reason. You're
Then
hiding
clarify what you
behind
mean by
magical
proof.
thinking. You're hiding behind magical thinking. If you were in
I
court
can
right
clarify
now,
the words that
do
I
you
used.
if yeah, sure. If you were in court right now, do you think saying God is the most logical outcome is proof?
Well, if I'm able to motivate that, the
Go
motivations would
ahead.
be sort of proof. Yeah, the
Okay,
motivations
sure.
would be simply that comparing my deistic hypothesis with your atheistic hypothesis, through atheism we wouldn't even get that a universe would exist. It doesn't entail that a universe exists. Atheism is just a view that God just does not exist.
No,
From that,
that's not
you
what
don't get that
atheism
the
is.
universe.
That's not what atheism is. So you're already
No, that is what
mischaracterizing.
atheism
No,
is,
it
which is
isn't.
that God doesn't exist.
No, that's not what atheism is. Atheism is that you haven't convinced me of that there's evidence of God. That's what atheism is.
Well, that's a doxastic state, sir.
Oh,
That's not a
whoa,
rejection of theism.
oh Lord. This is why
That's just a belief.
I like to let you
Beliefs don't
guys in,
contradict things.
even though I know at the outset that this is how the conversation is going to go, because you never have anything. You don't have
I did.
all you
On your
have
side.
is words that you learn by reading about philosophy, but you don't
No.
actually have logic and reason behind what you're
I can give you
saying.
an argument.
Yeah, but
You can tell me which
if
premise
you
you
could
reject.
have, you would have. So let me move
No, I
on
can do it.
to somebody else. Okay, so we have hold on. Damn it. Now they've changed how I see word. My hope something. My hope in God. How you doing?
Good. How you doing?
I can barely hear you, so you'll have
Can you hear me?
to get closer to your mic or something.
Can you hear me?
Barely, but go ahead.
Yes. I like your show.
You like what?
How you say who is God? You ask people
Well,
who is
that
God?
I didn't say that to you, but if you believe in God, what does the word God mean to you?
It means good, omnipotent, and deliverer.
Okay, you really have to do something about your mic because you sound completely muffled. I don't know if you're using Bluetooth or something, but whatever you're doing, you have to change because I can't, I can barely hear what you're saying. So if I heard you, I thought I heard you say God is good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so you must agree then that everything that God did was good, right?
Yes.
Okay. So you agree that when God drowned almost everybody on earth, including men, women, and children, and the elderly, and innocent animals, just to leave a family of 8 and a few animals alive, that was good?
Yes.
Yeah. So you're a sociopath, basically. That's
No,
what you're
no.
telling me. You're basically a sociopath.
No.
Yeah, you are. You are. Someone that thinks that it's good to murk almost everybody on earth is a fucking sociopath.
Answer the question?
No, I'm not interested in talking to a sociopath. But you are a sociopath. You sat up here and you just told me that murking everybody on earth except for a family of 8, including men, women, children, the elderly, and innocent animals, was a good thing. That makes you a fucking sociopath.
God is in charge, sir.
That's like talking to a 5-year-old. It's just insane. Absolutely insane. The Buddhist, how you doing? Welcome back.
Hello, welcome. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. We're off to a good start. We had a Phil bro that doesn't know how words work, and then we have someone who just
He's a
outed
sociopath.
himself as a sociopath on a live show. It's amazing.
Yep.
How are you doing today?
All because of the belief of a fake deity.
Yeah, and even if God were to be proven true today, like real, let's say someone proved he was real today, why would you worship a being that would do stuff like that?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know. So like people think that I would change my mind if God were proven to be real. Well, I would acknowledge that he was real, and then I would also acknowledge that he was a piece of shit. I don't get it. I don't get how people really Christopher Hitchens never fails me in these moments, but when he
I don't know
said
how. I
an
don't know
evil
why.
person, hold on, when he says an evil person will do whatever evil they want. A good person will generally do good, but in order to get a good person to do evil, you need religion. Someone just requested up, but then they left. I guess that was accidental.
I don't know how I'm live. That's not my profile picture, so I don't know what's happened.
That's not your profile picture?
No, my profile is a Buddha, so I don't know what's happened there. Can I
I
come
mean,
out and come back on, please?
it looks like a Buddha from here, but okay.
Something's
Here,
happened. I've got this.
I mean, is that important? If it is, okay, I guess it is. The shepherd's man says, "Are you real?" That's up to you, I guess. I think I'm real, but I guess I can't prove that. Sancho Ho says they can teach you about the world. I don't know what that means. Christian Leet Rager says another low IQ lie. Well, the IQ will raise as soon as you leave. Hey, Papa Todd. Jen, how you doing? Okay, we have the Buddhist realist was coming back up. Loading. Sometimes it takes a while to load. I don't know why. There you are. Now I see the same image as before. Do you see a different image?
Yes, I'll tell you what it is. I've just found out my nephew was playing about with my phone, so I think that's what's happened. So I was getting a different image.
Did he
So
make
that's
a
it.
new profile photo for
a
you?
blue Buddha. It's a blue Buddha, so it's back now. So I've got it back.
Okay, excellent. Can you see
It's
the
a fairly new phone.
Hold on a second. I wanna handle this juvenile question. The shepherd's man says, "Can you see the wind?" No, but I can obviously see evidence of the wind. You donut. That's like a question a 5-year-old would ask. Lion Share says there's too much order in one human cell to deny the existence of a supreme divine intelligence. That's an opinion, but that's not
That
proof of
is
anything.
an argument that's used by Jehovah's Witnesses. They've got a wee book called it's called Teachers, and it's a kind of book one of their books that they use, and it's all about the cell, and they use the cell argument as a means to talk about there's a great being, a great creator. So
Yeah, but that also ignores all the chaos that's in the universe too, right?
absolutely. Yep.
So I invited Lion Share up. So why do you think that the complexity of a cell is proof of anything?
Hello?
Hello, Lion Share, right? That's you?
Yeah, that's me.
Okay.
Yep, me.
And why do you think that the complexity of a cell is proof of anything?
Well, first to begin with, we didn't just exist because of some explosion in space as some
Well, you
scientists have
don't know
said.
that to be true, but that's not answering my question. Just because there's
Well,
complexity in a cell or a system, how is that proof of
do you
of
think we
supreme
just
being?
exist just without an intelligent being behind
You're
us?
asking me a question instead of answering my question. So
Well, I'm asking you a question and I attempt to answer your question.
I'll try one more time. So, do you believe, or why do you believe, is how I ask the question, that complexity of an organism or a system is proof of God?
Because it is self-evident that God exists and there's a divine intelligence behind that order.
Self-evident.
Yeah, it is
So
self-evident.
if it's self-evident, how come I don't believe that?
Well, you don't believe that because you don't believe in the truth. You choose to believe
Oh.
in, or you choose to believe in your own imagination of things,
Oh, I see.
rather than
Oh.
the truth.
Oh, good. So you're a mind reader too. That's exciting. This is good.
That's great.
What am I?
Of course,
What
I
am I
understand
What am
human
I
behavior,
thinking right
human
now?
nature.
What number am I thinking of right now?
Well, unless of course you want to
I'm
play
thinking
the
of zero
is it, do you
because
have the wooden number for the lotto?
zero represents a donut, which is what you are. So
You are an excuse, my brother. You are you know.
so listen. I get that, like a 5-year-old, you need fairy tales to be real.
So you're saying that
and
the
that's
God
and
of the
that's
Bible is a
fine,
fairy tale? That's what you're
that's
saying?
fine. Well, clearly it's a fairy tale because
No,
there's no
well,
evidence.
obviously you are
There's no
marvelously
evidence.
blind and incredibly stupefied.
Right? Yes, I'm
You
so
are
stupid. I'm
marvelously
so
blind and
stupid
yeah,
that I
only
don't
a
think
fool says in his heart there is no God.
I don't think an imaginary fairy tale of a sky daddy is real. So I'm so dumb. I get you.
Well,
So
you have given an
if
accurate
you're so
description of
smart,
yourself.
and you know the truth, then why don't you explain the truth to me right now?
Well, first to begin with, there's an order in the when you examine a human cell, biologically speaking,
Yeah, well, go
there's
ahead. Let him finish.
administration,
Let him finish. Go ahead.
there's transportation, there's communication. All this is taking place in a human cell. There's also a defense system at work in a human cell. Human cells make up tissues, tissues make up organs, and the organ make up your body and my body. All right? There's too much order
Wait, hold on.
that exists.
Stop. Please stop interrupting him. I want to hear him completely. Go ahead.
There's too much order that exists in our universe that sustain life here on Earth to say that
Yeah.
there's no God.
Yeah. Okay, great. So let me ask you this. So
Nature is
excuse me. You had a chance to speak. I stopped people from interrupting you. and now you're not going to interrupt.
You didn't allow me to finish.
No, you did. You did. You said enough, because here's the thing. Your argument already has two. Your argument already has two huge holes in it. Number one, cancer. That's an obvious hole in your argument. Number two, 99% of species that have lived on Earth have passed away, which means that Earth actually is not that accommodating to life. So you don't know what you're talking about. You're just spouting off nonsense because you're like a child trying to explain Santa Claus. But anyway, we're done with you. Hello, Jessica. How you doing?
Hi. Oh, I was about to get so fucking heated. Yoda.
I know. I feel you. I get it. Because and it's frustrating. Believe me, it's hard for me too to have to listen to nonsense over and over again. But you know,
Yeah, as somebody who has like the barest, like I feel like anybody who has just the smallest understanding of anything to do with medical processes and biology and the human body and how cells actually work knows what an absolute just dumb argument that is. And you mentioned
cells go
cancer.
wrong all the time.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I was going to bring up. And his whole, oh, it's so hospitable and it's everything. Do you know why antioxidants are such a big thing? Because oxygen slowly kills us in our cells.
Yeah, I find it so crazy that the very oxygen that you need to live is also slowly murking you. The very sunlight that you need to live is also potential to murk you. It's a wild balance. Like Earth creates this very narrow band for existence. It's not like the planet is designed to sustain life. It really isn't, because if it were, where did those 99% of species go?
Right.
We have someone that just joined us. Ernesto, is it?
This is.
How you doing,
This
Ernesto?
is. How are you, buddy? Good. How are you?
Good. Thank you for asking. Oh, so what do you make of all this, Ernesto?
Well, I mean, I do believe in a God, and I think that you and your friend here just, I guess, just kind of brushing off the fact of the complexity of a cell. I mean, life itself is a thing that I kind of keep going back to, and scientists can't seem to create it.
By the way, I really
matter.
don't like when people put words in my mouth. I, in no way, shape, or form, brushed off the complexity of a cell. I acknowledged that cells are complex. What I said
But then you brought up,
was that the complexity of a cell is not in and of itself proof of God, and then I also mentioned how cells can go wrong. So yes, cells are complex, but cells are not perfect.
no, they're not. But I think what is perfect is the formation of life, because life has never come from non-life ever.
Okay.
Never.
Okay, and
even though there's
no one has made that assertion. So okay,
No, well,
so
well,
life does not come from non-life. Fine. How is that proof of God?
Well, I think when folks here on Earth, some of our most intelligent scientists try to improve it through abiogenesis, or I mean, even labs try to make 70 years going that's still unsolved. They've tried to make some building blocks like amino acids or vesicles, and even that recent Harvard work, they created like synthetic, non-biological vessels. They even grew, they split, they showed some evolution-like behavior, but it wasn't real life. There was no DNA, no proteins, no metabolism like ours, so it's a mimic. I think the bigger issues are DNA itself. It's such a complex code. It's not random chemistry that produces that functional code.
I got you.
I think if you look
I
at,
understand and agree to all of the above. And how
Okay.
does that prove God?
Well, because I think the complexity of just that, there's only one life giver, points to a creator. I think
Gotcha.
chirality,
So
if you
wait,
know
let
what
me
chirality is,
see.
right?
I want to make sure I understand you.
Sure.
You're saying that complexity is proof of a creator, right?
Well, complexity to form life.
Gotcha. So
form life.
so the ability and complexity to form life indicates a creator, right?
It can only indicate a
Gotcha.
creator.
So then who created God?
God is eternal, brother. Like,
Okay,
he's
but
the guy behind the curtain.
But God must be at least as complex as the thing he creates, right?
created time, matter, and space
But
all
but
in one instant.
is he not by your logic at least as complex as his creation?
He created that creation,
So
so he's
that
beyond that creation.
so then he must be at least as complex as the thing that he created, right?
Beyond the complexity that you and I can never
So he is
understand.
more, so that's why I said at least. Okay, so
Least, okay,
he is
sure.
at least as complex as the thing that he created. So if he's complex, then by your logic, something or someone created him.
No, nothing created him.
He must
created
have been, by
everything.
your logic, he must have been created.
No, see, that's not my logic. Don't try to put words in my mouth.
I didn't put words in your mouth. I
you
reflected
said
back
by
the very.
my
I
logic
asked
he's
you. I
created.
asked
I'm
you.
not-
I summed up your point, and I asked you if it was right, and you said yes. So I'm not putting words in your mouth. You just don't know what the words
No, I
coming
said
out of your
he's
mouth
beyond the
actually
complexity of
fucking
life.
mean.
See,
Yes,
this is when the
yes,
insults start,
he's
isn't it? The
beyond.
swears
He's
and everything.
beyond. Okay, so he's beyond.
he is.
So
He is
so then
beyond.
someone created him because he's so
No, 'cause
complex.
No, beyond that.
Yeah,
See, that's
beyond,
like
be
the first line of the
somewhere
Bible is when
beyond
life.
the
No.
sea.
I have
Okay.
a question.
Anyway, go ahead. Ask your question.
Yeah, quick question. So, God exists because he created life, right? So when
Well, that's
I
not the only reason, but yes, it's one of them.
when I pushed out a child, did that make me God?
Oh, yes,
When
absolutely.
that
Absolutely,
sperm entered
it
the egg, that was.
I
that's-
grew a human being. Hey, I'm still talking. Hush.
You asked me a question.
Oh, nope. Still talking. Thank you. So when I grew a whole ass human inside of me, formed its brain, formed all of the synapses in that brain that would later become thought and feelings and memory and complexity, did that make me God?
No, but God had a hand in exactly that, in creating that
I don't
child
believe
inside
that.
your body.
I have
no
Well, you don't believe it, but that's
God
You
is
have
like
no
Santa
proof of it.
Claus.
the complexity of that human being
Yes,
you just
it's so
mentioned.
complex.
Is
Okay,
one of
gotcha.
those. No,
You
no,
have
understand.
one argument, and you're just
No,
going to
it's
say
not
it
one
over and over
argument.
again.
No,
Yeah, it is.
not.
You're just saying the same
There's,
thing over
there's
and
four
over
of
again.
them, really. It's cosmological,
You're saying the same thing
fine-tuning,
over and
moral.
fine tuning
What about-
defeats its own argument.
what
'Cause
about objective
why would a
morality?
perfect why would
I
a
please say
perfect
something?
why would
If
a
there's no
perfect
God-
being need to fine tune the universe? Oh
Can
my
I say
God! Hold
something,
on.
please?
No, hold on.
Well, why would he? Because-
everybody be quiet for a moment.
Because, brother, if there's
For
even
a
a change...
I said for a moment. Be quiet
Okay.
because I have someone else coming in. Justin,
sorry.
Justice.
You good.
Hello, Justice.
Hey, good evening, everyone. I mean, I'm on the side that I believe that we come from something.
I
I'm from
agree. We come from
the Dominican Republic, and when I mean something more powerful than just human beings.
I agree.
I know it's hard to tell who that is, but when you look at the universe, like when you look at the world entirely, you are implied to believe that there was a designer behind all of this. Like it's really kind of hard
Not
to
really.
tell.
Not really. Because
Well-
when I look at the fossil record, and when I look at the record of the universe and all of the collisions and material that were contained in those collisions and that combined in a rather random way, it doesn't seem like intelligent design to me. It seems like a bunch of materials coming together randomly.
But that's part of the creation. My thing with this is this,
course.
guys. Like when you think about the fact that you see the ozone layer, the way that is formed with specific for life to exist on the earth. Like you look at the oxygen, the amount of nitrogen and the other compounds that it has for life to exist on earth specifically. And when you look at the universe, I'm not saying that I'm not saying that there isn't other planets where there is life. I believe there is life in other planets. But, when you look at the world entirely, this is just not like a dot made of a color and then there's nothing else. Like you got trees, you got animals, you got like a sun, you have everything, you have oxygen. So when you look at all these things, you are more implied to believe that there was a designer behind than there was nothing.
You're using
Because
the
if
word
there was
implied
nothing, then
wrong.
we should
You mean to say inclined, but
incline.
anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
So let me just say again, the oxygen level wasn't always what it is now. Okay, so in the beginning, we wouldn't be able to live here. Okay, and again, 99% of species have died. So how is that like a place that's hospitable to life?
99% of the species die.
Yes.
But then how is it that we came all of a sudden? Like how do we exist?
Again, based on the combination of elements that smashed together, including dust from the stars that came together to create all these chemical compounds that eventually created us. That's as much as we know as far as
That's
evidence
more
is
far-fetched
concerned.
than God, brother.
Of course it
We
is
have
because
literal
because
evidence.
because
Thank
yeah
God.
because we
The
because
randomness,
you don't need
stars and
evidence
dust
to
coming
believe
together.
what you believe. You just need fairy tales to
But
believe in
that
what
didn't
you
happen.
believe.
What you're saying?
Oh, that didn't happen.
We
Okay,
have
well,
scientific
we're not going to start to disprove science today. That's the one thing we're not going to do is pretend that we don't know. We might not understand the very beginnings of everything, but we have the trail of evidence that explains how we came to be as a species and how other life has formed. That much science can answer.
I would also, for just a general question, Justice, you said that you believe that there is a creator. Do you believe that to be the Christian God?
That's a different subject. When it comes to religion, I'm not I wouldn't go that far to say that I have faith, and not because I was raised to believe in Jesus Christ. I just have my own belief, but I don't pretend anybody to believe in what I believe. This is something personal, but I wouldn't like bring it up on a discussion as to whether everybody should believe that Jesus Christ is the Son of God. I may believe it, but I wouldn't bring this up because
So is that a yes or a no? I'm confused.
no. I'm not gonna say. In my opinion, it's a yes because of personal belief.
Yes, you believe in the Christian God.
I believe, but here's the thing, guys. I'm not gonna bring this up in a discussion like this because I don't have the evidence. I have
Whatever.
personal faith.
No one was asking
Justice,
for
can
evidence.
I ask a
She just
question?
asked you what you believed in.
Of course.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Justice, do you believe that this all creator that you believe in is a personal belief, is a creator of love? Does he love us, this creator? Is he a creator of love? Does he love us as his children?
I would say so. I would
Can
say.
I ask you this then? Why does he allow this great creator who's all-knowing, all-powerful, divine, greater than us, why does he allow there to be children in parts of the world, in jungles, where there are insects, plants, everything in that area wants to kill you, allow these insects to bury into their brain and blah, and cause so much suffering and disease and blah? Why would a God create that and allow that for innocent children who's meant to love us?
The problem with that is, this question you're asking me, it has a lot of answers because you could also say,
Just pick one. Just pick one answer and give
well,
it.
you could also say, that he
No.
could have.
No. We're not going to do this. You were asked a question. Just simply answer the question.
It's life. It's the way it's made. What can we do about
What do
that?
you mean?
Like,
What do you mean? It's the way it's made. You said God
Very
did
cruel
it.
life.
You said that God made life, right?
yes, in my opinion,
Okay.
yes.
So God is the reason why things are how they are. Why 25,000 people starve to perishment every day, and 8,000 of those people are children. Why animals have to murk each other every day to eat, which makes no fucking sense. But you're saying he's good, and if you believe in the God of the Bible, then you believe that he murked everybody on earth except a family of 8. So how does that all equal goodness and love?
Do you guys understand what free will is?
There is no such thing as free will according to the Bible.
He gave us free will, actually.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't. First of all, there's nowhere in the Bible about free will. Secondly, to say to the being that you created or the beings that you created, either believe in me or perish forever in hell, that's not free will. That's coercion. That's intimidation.
Programming.
It also, because remember, under the Christian God, you have to believe in him and worship him in order to not go to hell, right? You have to
Commandments.
be saved and baptized and all that. So what about all of these human beings who live in parts of the world that have no knowledge whatsoever of Christianity? They've never been taught Christianity.
They got to go.
And if this God is supposedly all-knowing, he would know that they never even had the opportunity to learn this. Are they condemned to hell anyways? Because they never worshipped him? Because they never had knowledge of him?
That's a valid question.
In love.
That's a valid question, guys. But the one thing you also, and I'm sure you guys are aware of this, although they don't have Jesus Christ as the Son of God or God, they believe in their own gods, and I'm sure you guys know that they worship.
That doesn't count to the Bible. In the Bible, it don't matter who else you believe in. What matters is that you believe in God.
Remember
That's true. I agree with that. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I'm not against you on that. I mean, I agree with you.
You're worshiping a being that created me as an atheist, knowing that I wouldn't believe in him, therefore condemning me to hell. That's a good and loving God to you?
I would.
And if God loves us, would he not make sure that we all know who he is?
No, it's true, but to be honest with you, listen, I'm not the kind of person who goes to church like every Sunday.
It doesn't matter. You're up here making claims and supporting. You are in support of a despicable piece of shit being that does horrifying things to the things that he created and allows horrifying things to happen to things that he created, and you're acting like that's love and goodness.
No, but wait. Let's say something. So
No,
do you guys think?
let's not. Let's move on to Just DJT 2. So obviously a
yes.
Donald Trump fan.
Well, I was back in the days, but that's another story. But I want to thank you so much for what you're doing. I am from Amsterdam, but I love what you're doing. I followed you, but I wanna ask you. I'm also an atheist. I don't believe in all that stuff, and I think it's all fairy tales. And I want to ask you, host, do you know this guy? His name, he goes by the name of Young Pharaoh. He was a very big figure in the black community on YouTube a couple of years ago.
No.
Have you heard of him? Well, one time he gave a very good example about Christianity, about religion, and he said something like, so Christians pray when they need money, they pray when somebody is sick, and they pray and they pray and they pray, right?
Yeah.
So let's say you walk down the streets with a lady and she prays, right? Then a man jumps out of the car, snatches her into the alley and starts to touch her. At that moment, if I go on my knees, right, and I pray to Jesus, the people that pray to the same Jesus for money and rich wisdom and richness and all that stuff, if I pray at that moment when that girl is getting touched, right, and I pray to Jesus at that moment, they're going to look at me and they hate me for the rest of their life. So they're condemning me for the same thing they do when they need money and when they need wisdom and wisdom. But when I start to pray when that girl is getting raped, right, at that particular moment, they're going to condemn me. So why you condemn me when I do the same thing? When you need money, you pray. Sorry for my language. You know what I mean? You see where I'm going with this point?
Not exactly, but you said you had a question. I didn't hear one in there.
Well, it's simple. If I walk down the streets, right, with somebody who's religious, right? Let's say a lady, right? And a man jumps out of his car, right, and snatches her into the alley, right? And he starts to touch her in a not good way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At that moment, if I go on my knees and I go pray to Jesus to save her, the people that pray gonna condemn me for praying to Jesus at that particular moment?
I don't really understand that logic.
How come
understand
Why
the
would they?
question
Why
either.
would they condemn you for praying to protect her?
Because they know there ain't no imaginary force coming down to save that girl. I'm God in the flesh. I can protect that girl at
Oh,
that
you mean
moment.
praying instead of trying to help her?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You see what I
Yeah,
mean?
probably. Yeah,
I never forgot that,
yeah. I
right?
mean, look, I saw a great video on this where I think it might have been on TikTok, where this child falls into the pool,
Yeah.
and all the neighbors come rushing, and instead of jumping in the pool to help, they start praying.
Yeah. So
Right?
yeah. Sorry,
So
sir. Yeah, that's
yeah.
exactly what I mean.
So
So who the
yeah,
fuck
I
are you
mean,
praying to?
the thing is that prayer doesn't even make sense,
Exactly.
because if prayer is sort of asking God to do stuff for you, that doesn't make sense, because you said God had a plan for you.
Yeah.
So why are you praying against his plan?
Yeah.
Whatever
yeah,
is
yeah,
happening
Tony,
to
you
you
said it
must be
best.
God's plan. So why don't you just accept it?
Yeah, I'm telling you. Yeah, that's a good point. I'm gonna use that. No, but that's exactly the thing. So hey, I'm gonna enjoy the show. It's 4 o'clock in Holland in Amsterdam.
Okay. Well, thank
I
you so
woke up.
much for coming
Yeah,
up. I appreciate it.
yeah. Thank you so much, guys. I'm
All right.
sorry. Bye.
So back to justice. You can unmute yourself now. Like, I don't understand how you justify the idea that God is good and God is love. Can you explain how you came to believe that?
Well, if you look at the Ten Commandments, none of them is promoting violence. None of them is
Yeah, but
telling you.
none of them is expressly against certain types of violence. There's no commandment that says thou shalt not grape a woman.
I actually have a caveat to that.
There's actually no commandment that says thou shalt not take a slave. Why is that?
Also, in line with the Ten Commandments, right? Let's take one for example: honor thy mother and father, right? Well, that's all that the commandment says. But if you dig deeper into the Bible, it tells you that if your son is unruly, that you are to unalive him. The Bible promotes violence many times, many times. And so when you think of God, right, and you think of him as being all good and all loving, think of it this way. If you have a child, or say your parents or whatever, someone that you love very much with everything that you have, you don't look at them and say, they are the perfect person, they do absolutely nothing wrong, they will never commit any sort of wrongdoing whatsoever. That's not realistic. Real love, to truly love something, is to also understand its faults and to admit to them. So to have a true love and understanding of whatever deity you follow is to also understand their faults. I'm not an atheist. I am a pagan. I do have my own spiritual beliefs. But in many different types of paganism that do have gods that they look to, they acknowledge the weak points of their gods. We'll take the Norse pagans, for example. They knew their gods to be powerful, yes, but also greedy and vengeful and wrathful. In order to truly follow something and love something, you have to also be aware of it, even including their faults and flaws.
Yeah, but the Catholic Church doesn't give them that option. The Catholic Church fills them with fear. Like, Justice, can you say that God does terrible things?
To some degree, I think so. Yes. I mean,
What?
look at what
Give me an
Moses,
example.
what
Give me an
Moses
example of
did.
a terrible
Like the
thing.
Bible described Moses, like what he did with the with the bad things that happened to the Pharaoh and the people. I'm sure there were innocent people that that went through all this curses and stuff that deserve it, and a bunch of other.
Yeah, so you brought up Moses. That's good. So then you acknowledge that maybe murking the firstborn child of the pharaohs and their livestock was maybe a little cruel.
I would say so. Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
they're not
So
only
then
that. There's
how?
other
So
things
then
too.
so then knowing that you are consciously aware that there are so many examples of the cruelty that God inflicted on humans, how can you then turn around and say God is good and loving?
The thing with God, guys, and you guys understand this, is that when there are things that you have no way to explain because the Bible does not explain everything.
Oh, so this is mysterious ways nonsense? God
It's
works
so
in
funny.
mysterious ways? Is that
No,
where we're going?
It's okay to not know something, and it's okay to have things remain unexplained. We don't have to have the comfort of putting it off to a deity to say, oh, this is unexplained, so I'm just going to say that it's a God thing, right? We don't have to live like that. We can absolutely have things in life that we say, this is unexplained, I don't understand this, and that's okay. I'm okay just not having the answer to this.
But the thing with that story, guys, from Moses is that he warned his brother, right? He warned him of the things that were going to happen, and he still, regardless, he refused to
Yeah,
follow.
you're also ignoring the fact that God hardened Pharaoh's heart. Pharaoh might not have done these things, but God hardened his heart.
Why would you say that?
That's what the Bible says.
The Bible says that God hardened the Pharaoh's heart.
Yes. Yes, those are the exact
God
words.
himself did that? Oh, I didn't know.
I know you don't know because that's part of the problem with Christianity is you don't know the source material. Most of the people that believe in that fucking nonsense haven't even read the shit.
Right.
Do you know?
I mean,
Okay, let me give you another story. There were this group of teenagers. I think 42 of them or something like that. And they were gathered around this bald man, making fun of the fact that he was bald. What did God do to them?
a group of teenagers from.
You don't know. So the answer is God sent 2 she-bears, that's how it's described, to maul them so that they all perished. That's what God did because teenagers were making fun of a bald guy.
Wow.
And this is the God you champion.
I'm gonna
Just-
listen,
just-
I have a friend. Let me tell you that.
Can I ask-
who
can I
does
ask-
know?
Let me hear his reply to that.
I have a friend who definitely has a lot of knowledge of the Bible, and I think he is more qualified to be able to explain.
So you're willing to base your life on a belief and not even know what the content of the belief is. That's wild to me.
No, but let me say this because I'm not that kind of religious fan that goes.
Yeah, but
to,
you're up here making claims though. You started off by saying God was love and goodness.
But
Okay? And that means that you are ignoring everything in the book because you haven't bothered to pick up the book to read it.
I have, but not as much as you have. I mean, how do you know these things?
Because I can
Justice,
fucking
you
understand
talk about-
English.
No, but
Justice.
I'm saying you study the Bible, right?
I read it. And I look up facts once in a while when people try to deny shit. But I mean it's in the book. And I'll tell you what, here's what I think. And I'm not saying this to be facetious. This is what I truly believe. You sound like a very intelligent person. And I believe that if you read the Bible from cover to cover, you would feel the same way that I do.
No, and let me say this, guys, because I don't know if telling you that I believe that Jesus may be God, may probably make you think that I'm I'm a genius or I study everything.
No, I
This
don't.
is
No,
just-
no, I don't. I don't think anybody's going to mistake you for a genius. No offense, but what is evident is that you have not read the very material that you are basing your beliefs on, and I find that shocking.
No, I know that I got to do my homework.
Yeah. So
Justice, can I say something quickly?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead,
See
and
this,
then we'll.
I need to go shortly, so I'll say this quickly. There's 2 points, right? So there's 2 points I want to make. Number one, I want to talk about to this loving creator, and I'm now going to show you, right, just very clearly, and think about what I'm about to say, just how insane, how much love he doesn't have for us, right? If I'm a father, right, and I have a child, right, and I abuse my child because of some sort of insanity, right, I would be considered evil, okay, if I'm abusing a child. Why are you not putting the same passes on God when he stands back and allows me to abuse that child when he's meant to all love us?
Allow who? Who did he allow to abuse the child? Who?
Me the father, so that God stands back and allows me to abuse. Why does he not step in and stop me if he's all about love? If he loves all his children, and especially his most innocent, angels on earth, children who are innocent, and he's all love, why does he not step in and destroy me, or at least stop me, or change me and protect that child? Why does he stand back?
So
And
let me
allow a
ask you.
child to experience such
Okay,
evil,
hold on.
and such a nightmare.
Let me do this. I want you, Justice, to think about that for a minute while I introduce the next guest, which is Null something or other.
Knowledge is power.
Knowledge is power. Okay, which is not true, by the way.
No, applied knowledge is power.
There you go. Knowledge is potential power. What you do with it.
Wise
determines
knowledge
whether
is
it's powerful
power.
or not. But anyway, so welcome in. How are you doing today?
I'm good. And I was going to say also reading the book of something that you stake your life on, that would also be relevant here too. I mean, I don't understand how someone can say that they believe something and they come onto it, this platform, and then to validate or to confirm their belief, but they haven't even read what it is that they believe.
Yeah, I mean, look at it this way. I don't feel embarrassment anymore. I'm decades away from the last time I felt embarrassment. I'm kind of shameless. However, I can only imagine that you come on an atheist live show and the atheist knows more than you about your fucking book. Isn't that an embarrassing thing?
But that's actual confirmation. See, what you suggested is that he read the book from cover to cover. But he won't do that, because if he did that, he wouldn't be a Christian anymore.
Well, he might do it. He might do it. I can't read his mind, and I don't know what he's going to do. But I suggest that to everyone. Like, and look, there. It seems to be that people read more about their toaster oven than they do the God that they believe in. You know, like if someone buys a new coffee maker, chances are they're going to read the instructions of how to use it. You know, but for some reason they have this book that they claim to be the source of their morality and their way of thinking about life and the afterlife, whatever that is, and they don't know that book. It's shocking.
Well, you know what?
Go ahead,
I
just
can say, as somebody who grew up in the church, right, and who was at one time extremely indoctrinated, who I thought that I knew everything that there was to know about the faith that I held at that time. What it really comes down to is you're told certain stories at the sermons at church, and then you have Bible studies, but you're told which chapters and books and verses and everything that you're going to be going over. And then in youth group, you're given another sermon about another certain story. And so they take from so many different parts of the Bible that you feel as though you have that full knowledge and that full understanding of it, because it's coming from so many different places. And you feel, especially when you're doing like Bible study and things of that nature, as if you have that true understanding because you're reading it for yourself independently, but you're not actually ever just sitting down and reading cover to cover the whole book, right? But because you have all of this put in your face, drawing from so many different places, you think that you know the whole story. And it wasn't until I started to question things after a particularly shitty instance, and actually sat down and decided to read it cover to cover and really study the Bible, that I truly began to question things. And I think that once that happens, a lot more people can kind of see all of the problematic things within it. Like also the, Pharaoh's heart being hardened. That doesn't sound like free will, does it? If God hardened the Pharaoh's heart, he wasn't exactly giving him free will to make his own decisions, was he? With an open heart. No.
And someone just asked a question. Hold on, let me.
Here's
let
an
me just,
interesting thing.
Hold on.
Here's an interesting thing. We talked about-
Hold on. Someone had asked me a question, or I don't know, all of us, a question about the book of Job. And I'm only going to answer this question because Justice is up here, and I want him to hear this. So you are probably familiar with the character of Job, but every time you've heard about Job, it was introduced as a story of God's love, right? And how powerful God is. Let's show you an example of God's love and mercy and wonderfulness, right? And then they tell you this story. So the story starts out with the devil challenging God and making a bet with him and saying, I bet that I could turn your most faithful worshiper against you. Right? That's what Satan had the balls to say to God, right? And instead of God saying, "Oh, fuck you, you're an idiot. I don't need to prove anything to you," he says, "I'll take that bet." And he says, I'll do you a favor. I'll point him out. You see that guy over there? Job? Here's what I want you to do. Anything you want to fuck this guy's life up. You can hurt him. You can fill him with pestilence and boils and disease. You can make him go blind. You could take everything from him, right? And the devil did just that. He took everything from him. He took his livestock. He murked his servants. He took his family. He took his land. He took his wealth, everything, and just racked him with pain and all this other shit, right? And at the end, Job was like, I still love you, God, like the worst battered wife in the world, right? And then and people go, oh, isn't that beautiful? And then I go, no, that's not a beautiful story. Look at what he allowed to happen to one of his, the most believing servant that he had. And they say, yeah, but God restored everything. But that's not true, because I reread the story to make sure of this. God never restored the servants. The servants just stayed murked. So what the fuck is that? How is that a story of God's love? That sounds like a story of God's cruelty and psychopathy to me.
Remember, he killed his family also.
Yeah, but he restored his family.
Oh, he had more kids. But
he actually restored his family, but he didn't restore his servants. He restored his livestock, he restored his land, all that other shit. He did not restore his servants.
I want to say this, guys, so you understand something, because you guys, you're talking to me like I believe in everything the Bible says, and the thing is, I'm more inclined to Jesus because I have no other gods. I don't know of anybody else.
Yeah, you're on even shakier ground there, since Jesus never existed.
No, but what I'm saying is, I have doubts. I mean, I
know, and that's what I'm trying to speak to, and I appreciate your humility, because you're actually having a reasonable conversation. Okay.
Yeah.
The thing is this. The thing is this. Hold on. The thing is this. Oh wait. The thing is this. The only reason that I went at you is because of what I said earlier. You came up and made a claim that God was about goodness and love, and I hopefully have started to put some doubt into that claim. And what I hope you do is educate yourself so that you'll understand that you have been basing these beliefs on fictional characters. These are fairy tales. Jesus Christ never existed. There is no proof anywhere of this man ever existing. And there is no proof of God. I'm willing to believe that God is possible, but right now I have never heard one bit of proof that he existed.
Right. Can I say one last thing before I leave, because I'm going to leave shortly.
Go ahead.
I just want to say one last thing. Back to the love, because obviously I've been focusing on that with all my things about love of God and proving that he's not a love of God, and he is, as you say, narcissistic, this psychopath, if he's real. Let me use a real story, and this is a real story. I won't name anybody to protect the innocent, but this is a true story. A few years ago, a friend of mine phoned me unexpectedly was crying down the phone. This is a single woman with 3 kids. She was down the phone screaming at me, I'm in danger, I need help. So I told her, phone the police, blah, blah, as best I could because I was literally miles away. I could not get to her in time. What ended up happening? Her boyfriend, who already has previous, broke into the house and attacked her and tried to attack the 3 children because he was on drugs. He was known to be on drugs. I'm not an expert in mental health, but he had this drug and he was violent and he had all these kind of things. And that's what happened. The children got assaulted. Luckily, they have survived. They're okay now. They're doing well, but they were seriously assaulted. They were hospitalised, right? If God, okay, all loving, all being, all great, and as I say, I don't understand all the Bible, and just say there's a great being, we don't fully understand, but we know one thing. He's a God of love. He loves us. He loves us with such divinities, with a level that we can't understand. He loves us. Why did he stand back and allow innocent children to have a man come into their house, attack their mother in the most brutal way, and then attack the children and hospitalise them, and nearly, sadly I don't want to say, unalive them? Why, if a God loves us, why did he stand back? There's so many arguments, and I'll tell you right now, you're saying that there's a all being. I'll tell you now, see with all the things that I've seen, see if even God was real. I'm going to say one thing. Fuck you! I'm not interested in following you.
Right. You know, here's there's one word.
I know
that
you
guys
said you had to
keep-
leave, so thank you for
Simple
coming
stuff.
up, and always a pleasure hearing you.
And I'll say this last thing. Hey, sorry to hear about the, your friend, but there's one word that you guys keep saying that's really, I mean, I don't even understand why people don't get it yet. You keep saying the word story, the story of Job, the story of Jesus. These stories were never meant to be taken literally anyway. It's a freaking story. When we were growing up and somebody runs in the house and says, ooh, mama, Joe told a story. Well, Joe comes into the house and what does he get? He gets a whipping because we know what a story is. He told a lie. So these stories were never meant to be taken literally. That's why Epic of Gilgamesh, basically where all of these stories come from, that was found 10,000 years before the Bible. That's why those stories were never meant to be taken literally either. But the people who wrote the Bible, and you won't even know who the authors are, they plagiarized Epic of Gilgamesh.
They
Again,
a lot of things.
right.
The Epic of Gilgamesh, the Code of Hammurabi, the Tibetan Book of Dying. It's just the story of Horus and Osiris. I mean, they just ripped off everything around them. They ripped off pagan rituals. They ripped off everything.
Right, and so this all boils down to basically 2 things: money and sex, because that's all it is. That's all the Bible is, the Vatican Church, religion in general. It's all about money and sex, period. Because if you take those 2 things away, you don't have a church anymore.
Yeah,
I
don't even know why the church needs a pope. Why do you need to have a paramilitary structure to your organization? It doesn't make any sense. And I will keep saying this. I don't give a fuck how cute and nice the pope is. He's the head of a horrific organization. So fuck the pope. Fuck religion. It all sucks. It's all a cancer on humanity.
That's exactly what it is, a cancer on humanity. Thank you, brother.
Yeah. So any other so I want to bring this up because we don't have anybody else coming up right now to try to claim that God is real. So I read about this story of what the fuck is her name? Oh shit. Hold on. Oh yeah, Lindsay Clancy. And what amazes me is this. And the jury is going to deliberate more, but what we have is a woman that has admitted that she murked her 3 children, and her defense team has admitted that she murked her 3 children, and now they're just trying to give us plausible deniability as to why she did it, to try to say that she wasn't in the right mind. but not one piece of evidence has come up implicating her husband, Patrick. And yet all of the social media conspiracy theorists are like, no, it can't possibly be that she did something wrong. He's guilty. Is anyone familiar with this story?
Yeah, I am too.
Okay, so Jessica, what's your take on it?
No, I never heard of that story. I don't know.
You said that there's no shred of evidence, anything.
The defense did not bring up any evidence against him, and so far, and the police haven't, and no one. It didn't come up in the trial that there was evidence against him.
So from what I understand is there has been some. Now, I don't personally have. I'm trying to distance myself from this simply because of the complicated nature of it, and for my own mental well-being as a mother.
Sure.
However, I do know her DNA was not found. Touch DNA or anything was not found on the implements used on the children. However, his were. I do also know that she is a registered nurse. I do who would know how to adequately slice herself to cause life-threatening injuries. I do also know that he, from his computer, at a time when she was not in the home, Googled how to commit suicide. I do also know that at the time of the incident supposedly occurring, because it's a pretty tight timeline, that she, given what her core body temperature was, it is possible she was already laying out in the snow. Now, we do know that he was receiving texts from her during that time. However, it looks like those texts came from her smartwatch, and when we see the surveillance videos of him out and about in town running errands, in one of those frames, you see him holding her smartwatch. So there is that to consider. I do also know that 3 weeks after his children were brutally unalived, he was on vacation with his new wife, who he had apparently been going there on vacation with for the past 3 years. So, could it potentially be a more successful Chris Watts type story? Potentially, but I don't know that. But I do also know, do I think, if she did do it, I do think that she should face the consequences of it. However, I do also know that she was sending out many signals and telling people for a long time that she was suffering from postpartum psychosis and depression, and that she had tried to get treatment for it. I do also know that postpartum psychosis and postpartum depression can make people do things that they would otherwise never do. And even her own husband said that she was an extremely loving and attentive mother. So this is something that I am choosing to distance myself from because it is horrendous. And I don't think that even if she did do it, I truly don't think that she was in her right mind. Because from all accounts from her family and her own husband, she loved those children more than anything and would not have done anything to them were she in her right mind. And that's kind of all I'll say on it.
Fair enough. All right. Before we continue, we have a new guest, Mentality. Please unmute yourself.
Hello?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm not too bad. How you doing?
I am wonderful. Thank you for asking. What's on your mind?
Yes, you said God is just your imagination. Can I give an argument for why God exists?
Sure.
Yeah, so we can just say, before I continue, do you know what Bayesian theorem is?
Can you just give me your evidence, please?
Yeah, sure. So let's just say we have two hypotheses, one being theism, one being naturalism. Theism would just say that the universe is the product of an intelligent, purposeful, and powerful God, and naturalism would just say that the universe exists without any divine intelligence or purpose behind its fundamental structure. Now, I want to consider the evidence, right? We have fundamental constants and initial conditions of our universe that fall within an extraordinarily narrow range that permits, complex chemistry, stars, planets, and eventually, conscious life. So, for example, if certain fundamental parameters would be slightly different by a fraction, we would say that the universe might have expanded too rapidly for galaxies to form, or collapsed back on in itself, or produced no stable chemistry capable of supporting complex organisms. And so the question that the Bayesian theorem would argue, or asks better yet, is which hypothesis between naturalism and theism should make us expect a life-permitting universe more strongly, theism or naturalism? Under theism, right, a life-permitting universe isn't surprising, it's expected. If God exists and possesses intelligence, power, and intentions, then we have some reason to expect, God to create a universe that contains beings that are capable of conscious, rational thought, moral awareness, and union. Now, with regards to naturalism, right, we don't need to claim the probability of life under naturalism is literally zero. The claim is going to be more modest, right, which is going to be that if the life-permitting range is genuinely very small compared with the range of physical possible values, then a life-permitting universe is surprising under naturalism. So the evidence can be put this way. If God exists, then a life-permitting universe is reasonably expected. If God does not exist, a life-permitting universe is much less expected, and we observe a life-permitting universe. Therefore, the evidence...
So none of that is evidence. That's just a very unnecessarily long-winded supposition of what's possible, but that's not evidence. So before we move on, let's say hello to Food. Yeah, what's going on?
Yeah, how you guys doing?
Good.
It is evidence, though.
Excuse me, it's not. It's you. All you did was restate your belief in a very long-winded way. You didn't provide evidence. You provided a hypothesis, essentially.
Yeah, I provide statistics though. Do you want
what are those statistics based on? Give me, now that you brought up statistics, go ahead. Give me the mathematical equation that you used.
Sure. Let me get up a site for you because you want a citation.
No, I want the mathematical equation. You said statistic. That's math. What's the math?
Yeah, I gave it, and if you want the statistic,
you didn't give me the math. What's the actual equation?
Wait, hold on. I did. I said that the fundamental constant and initial.
That's not math. That's not math. That's not math. You said statistics, so that's math. Give me the math. Take your time. Take your time. I'm sorry, Food. Hello, how you doing?
No, it's alright. No, that's fine.
Yeah. So what's on your mind?
Yeah. Obviously, I came across that, and I seen Yoda as well. So yeah. Like I said, just as God is just in imagination, but would you guys say like in like order? You know how things are like in order. Not say that's just.
I'll say there's a case for chaos as well. So there definitely seems to be some order to things, but there's also tons of chaos. Like one very strong bit of evidence for chaos is the fact that 99% of species that have lived on Earth have died off. So that doesn't seem like a planet that's particularly hospitable to life.
Would you say, how a lot of things are alive is because of order?
Not necessarily. I'd say a lot of things are alive because they've survived somehow. They've adapted. That's what evolution is about. But, again, I grant the fact that there seems to be order to things. The way our bodies work seems to have order to it, but there's also chaos in that as well.
Okay, when you say there's chaos in order, what do you mean?
Cancer, heart disease, things like that. Those seems... Well, I don't even understand the point of those things. If your
so would you say
if your life is essentially on a timer from the day you are born, we know that the sands of time start, coming down and diminishing your time on Earth, then why do we need all these other things that like this large variation of diseases where all you would need is like one? You would just need one disease to guarantee the end of life. Why do we have thousands?
I mean, we don't know why we have thousands.
Exactly.
We
That's
do.
chaos.
We do. All created by the God of the Bible.
Wait, hold on. Actually, the universe is fine-tuned according to Stanford Encyclopedia. So the strength of the, and I'll read you out actually, because you wanted the evidence. The strength of the strong nuclear force when measured against the.
No, I didn't ask for more foppish twaddle. What I asked for is the math. You specifically said that you're not reading me an equation right now. Okay? You specifically said there were statistics. So a statistic is a mathematical thing. So read me the math.
Had it been stronger by more than 50%, almost all hydrogen would have been burned in the very early universe, and this is citing McDonald and Mullen in 2009. Had it been weaker by
You see how he can't address what I'm asking him? You see that he can't. He just can't do it because all of his knowledge. What you're doing is you're being a parrot right now. You went and grabbed a book and opened it up and you started reading. You don't know what you're talking about.
He didn't even open a book. He went to Chat GPT.
Whatever.
We could all hear him typing away.
It's Stanford Encyclopedia. I don't know why you're lying with me now. It's Stanford Encyclopedia.
Okay.
Agrees with me.
So
I could go to Chat GPT right now and tell it to generate the entire printout.
Would you shut up while she's talking, please?
Literally all hear you typing.
You failed to give the argumentation.
I could go to ChatGPT right now and tell it to generate me 10 quotes from the Stanford Encyclopedia. And it would do it. So just because you're reading a quote from it does not mean that that's where
And you're not even answering the question anyway. You're not even answering the question.
Is not an equation. He asked you for a specific equation, citing something that is citing an already given percentage that you didn't come
50
up
is a mathematical number. He asked for a mathematical number. That is the equation. We would say that 50% would be part of the statistics, right? We're saying that if it had been...
Dude, you sound like a child.
It's okay.
You sound like a child right now, man. You really don't know what you're talking about. It's sad that you don't know. Listen. You know what? Here's the thing. Unmute yourself one more time, and I'll drop you.
This is really bad. You guys are confused.
Unmute yourself one more time, and I'll drop you. Okay? I'm willing to end. There you go. You fucking have no self-control. You have no self-control whatsoever. See, let me just sum up what we just experienced. We experienced a child that is so annoying and so self-aware of how annoying he is that he knows he's going to get dropped and then uses that as evidence that he won.
Right.
When in reality, he can't just accept the fact that he has deplorable manners to not just shut the fuck up and let somebody finish a sentence. He wants to be heard so badly that he doesn't extend that same courtesy to other people, but he expects it to be extended to him, and when it's not, and when he's shut down, he just automatically wins. That's not how life works, you fucking buffoon.
But that's the participation trophy class of the world, is that they've never faced real adversity in their life, and so their whole world view is I win, I always win, and here's what I also think. I have a feeling that in his friend group he's probably the smart one, but now he's outside of his friend group and he's dealing with smarter people that actually know how to have a conversation, and he doesn't. He had to look this shit up.
Something that he should have already known.
That's not intelligence. That's not him being the smart one. because
Oh, in his group,
he
he's
did
the
some
smart one.
typing
Yeah.
and had the answers generated for him as he read it off. See, here's the fun thing about, because I used to compete, I used to do this shit competitively. I used to do debate and spoken word competitively, and you learn to detect voice patterns. So you can actually tell with this training when someone is speaking normally versus when they are reading something off on a script based upon their vocal patterns and how they are speaking. You can tell that he was reading all of this off. None of this was original thought for him. And that doesn't make him the smart one. He's just really good at bullshitting, or he has people in his circle convinced that he's good at bullshitting because they're probably too dumb to know the difference. Ugh.
Wow.
And I love people in the chat asking, where do you get your morals from? Well, it certainly ain't from a book of cruelty and horror and you know an omnipotent being that's willing to murk anyone that doesn't agree with him. That's not where I get my morals. And yes, empathy is the biggest place that people get their morals.
Yeah, I think people are missing, there's a whole bunch of stories in the Bible. One particular that comes to mind, the two women that were starving, and, they were praying to God and asking, for food, and then the message came to them, well, I see you have two sons, so one of you cook your son, and then you eat him for food if you're hungry. And that's the loving God, and that's in the Bible. That's that loving God. They're praying for food, and he said, well, if you want some food so bad, go ahead and cook your son and eat it. But that's the loving God.
There you go.
Yes, sir, Gaza. So you know when
I'm sorry. No, I just wanted to say, guys, because to be quite honest with you, before coming to the group, because my motivation was the subject of the God is just your imagination. The part of the Bible, to be quite honest with you, it is so hard to believe that there are too many questions and no answers for a lot of things. Like one of the things I used to tell the guys, the preachers, the people who used to come to my house to preach me the Bible is, how in the world, why did Adam and Eve have the tree so close to them? If God knows the future and he knew that they were going to sin, why wasn't that like in the other continent, like in America or something like that, so they could never, and not only that, there's a lot of things, and I agree with you, but the fact that there is no God, I can definitely go above it. I could argue that with anyone.
But I don't understand. You just said you came in here believing that there was a God, right?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Questioning, though. He was very honest about the fact that he was questioning things, though. So.
Okay.
respect that.
Yeah, because guys, I tell you this: it's hard for somebody to demonstrate to you that Jesus, or it's gonna be almost impossible. As a matter of fact, I don't think there's gonna be anybody
I agree with you.
who's gonna tell you on this group,
I do think that.
who's gonna make you bring evidence that God even exists. There's no way, because we haven't seen him.
So then why do you believe it?
Well, very simple, because let me ask you this question now. Do you believe the earth came out of nothing?
No. Listen, energy cannot be created or destroyed, right? Right?
Yeah, let me answer simply.
I
don't believe that the earth came out of nothing, but I don't know what created the universe.
So we know through science how planets are formed. So when we think of Earth at just its base form, it is a planet. We have a scientific process that tells us how planets come to be formed. And it is a very long and drawn out and arduous process, yes. But over time, planets can form out of dust in space, essentially. And then they create their own atmospheres and everything like that. And so over process. And yes, it's a complicated process, but that doesn't mean that just because it's complicated that it has to be divine.
Well, with all due respect, I think that's part of the problem. Hold on a second. With all due respect, I think that's part of the problem. We just don't know. I don't care what science you have, you cannot know or understand how this earth or how the universe was created.
And we acknowledge that. She was talking. Hold on. She was talking specifically
can I finish a second?
of the. Well, I'm going to let you finish, but she was speaking specifically about our knowledge of how planets form, because he did say the Earth. I think he meant to say the universe, because if you say we don't know how the universe came into being, that's a more accurate statement.
Yeah.
We do know how planets like the Earth came into being. So that's what she was addressing.
I got you, but my point is that we don't know. Just because they said in science that we figured it out doesn't mean we figured it out, because they say stuff all the time. We don't. In other words, if energy can't be created or destroyed, that means that this planet was always here.
So you're denying science while you cite science.
Yeah, well, no, that's what I'm saying. If science says that energy cannot be created or destroyed, then energy cannot be created, which means this earth cannot be created. It was always here.
No, that's not how that works at all.
That's not what that means. But again, you started by criticizing science and saying that science says stuff all the time, but then you cited science. So I'm not sure what side of the fence you're on here.
Yeah,
do you believe science or do you not believe science?
Earth isn't energy. Earth is a planet.
Right.
And we know how planets form. Yes, Earth contains energy, but so do all planets.
Everything is energy. That's my whole point.
Okay.
Everything is energy.
Okay, so let's take this. So when we take iron ore out of the ground and turn it into steel, does it mean that the steel always existed, or did it form from the iron ore? It formed from the iron ore. The exact same way that Earth as a planet formed from dust in the universe and formed over millennia to create a planet. I'm not saying that it came out of nothing. It formed from particles within the universe that did already exist. Now, we don't know completely how that dust already existed, how that form of energy, but energy can, yes, you're correct, energy cannot be created nor destroyed, but it can be transferred and transformed.
I agree with everything you just said.
Earth was not always here.
I want to get back to the question I asked because I never got an answer. So do you believe in science or do you not?
Yes, I do believe in science, but she said exactly what I believe.
Forget about what she said. I was asking you what you believe, okay? So I'm a little confused is because like the way and this is my own impression. I'm not saying you were doing this. This is how I received it. It sounded like you were denying science and using science at the same time. So I'm just a little confused as to what your position is.
Okay, my position is what nothing can be created, but it can be formed.
Okay.
So if the planet was formed from the dust, that dust was already here, right?
Right. Okay.
Okay, so that means that dust wasn't created.
So then if nothing was created, then we don't need a creator, do we?
That's my point.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my point. Yeah, everything, you can form something from creation, but you cannot create anything because creation was already done.
Okay. Fair enough.
By who? By who? You already said it. By who was creation done? It wasn't done by who. No, it was just this was always here. Everything formed from what was already here.
Yeah, and I'll express that as a possibility because again, we can't prove it, but what we can do is do our best to gather information and make determinations. So from the information that we have, it seems more reasonable to believe that this was all here and it's sort of ever moving and ever changing. Right. And, like we know that, for instance, we expect the sun to explode one day. So that means it's in the process of changing right now. Right? So, who knows what's going to happen in the future? Human beings might not be here that much longer.
Well, we just don't know. Yeah, but just like we don't know how we got here in the first place.
Yeah, but it's in order though. You're not saying it's in order?
What that?
It's in order though, right now.
What do you mean it's in order right now?
How the universe works.
I don't know. Again, there seems to be a lot of chaos.
How we live. How we live naturally in this earth.
Well, that's just it. We're living naturally.
We don't live naturally on this earth. That's why we're harming our environment.
Yeah, but how do we inhabit it? How do we do that here? You know, how do we do it?
I don't know what you're asking. Hold on. We have someone, Pralito, is it?
How we inhabiting space?
Yeah. Hold on. Pralito, how you doing?
Good, and you? How are you
doing? Well, thank you. What's on your mind? Everybody else mute up, please. There's a lot of background noise. What was that?
Are you an atheist? Are you an atheist?
Yes.
So can I ask you how do you think the universe or Earth was created?
The Earth is the easy question, but I don't know how the universe was created. I don't know if the universe was created.
Like, do you think something can be created by like nothing? So
no.
What I think is something.
There's no, and by the way, technically speaking, there's no such thing as nothing.
But a creation has to have a creator.
Maybe.
So how would you explain like any rocks? Do you think the Earth was created by the Big Bang or something like that?
Well, the Earth is a product of the Big Bang, so yes.
So what do you think created? Who do you think created those like?
Dude, it seems like you're kind of glitching because you keep asking the same question over and over again. I don't know if the universe was created, which means it might have always been here. And if it was created, I don't know what created it. Does that satisfy this line of questioning?
Would that be infinite regress, though?
Excuse me, I'm speaking to Pralito right now. So, does that satisfy these questions that you have?
Well, yeah, but I think it, like, I don't think it makes sense.
Okay, so you're unsatisfied with my answers. That's fine, but I did answer your questions. So just because I don't know what the answers to your questions, to me that doesn't equal God.
So you don't think there's like any higher being or something like that?
What does that mean? What's a higher being?
Like a God, all powerful.
What is God exactly?
All powerful, all knowing.
All powerful, all knowing. So then God knew that I would be an atheist, right?
Yeah, he gives you the choice.
No, don't say free will. He doesn't give us free will. He says, believe in me or perish in hell forever. That's not free will. But he made me. I must be part of his plan. He made me an atheist so that he could send me to hell.
No, because he's giving you the choice.
No, he's not giving me the choice. Believe in me or burn in hell is not a choice. That's a threat.
Well, I think you have to earn heaven, man. He died.
What's heaven?
Heaven is like the place where you go where you die. Well, if you do believe in him, like if you don't believe in him, that you don't believe that he died for us.
I mean, he signs around you.
So right now, the way you sound is the same way a 5-year-old would sound if I asked them to explain Santa Claus.
No, it's not.
So this is kind of childish right now, and it's going nowhere very, very quickly.
That's not a child.
So why would someone who doesn't believe Jesus died for us?
Hey, dude, I can only hear one of you at the same time. Right now, you've all had plenty of time to talk. We have a new guest, and I'd like to hear from him. So go ahead, Pralito. What was your next question?
So
statement?
If someone doesn't believe that Jesus died for our sins, why would they get the right to enter heaven if they don't believe that?
Well, I think that if you don't give my unicorn peanut butter cups, that you don't deserve to be in heaven.
Well,
Have you given my unicorn peanut butter cups?
No, but that.
No, you haven't. So you don't deserve to be in heaven.
So what how does that have anything to do with
It makes as much sense as the shit that you're saying. It makes the exact same amount of sense as what you're saying.
How does it make the same sense?
What's the difference between God and a unicorn in these two ideas?
Well, a unicorn is a unicorn is a unicorn. God.
Yeah, my unicorn runs the universe.
No, because
no. What do you mean no? What do you mean no? My unicorn runs the universe.
Unless it's saying the unicorn is.
There's proof that Jesus
my unicorn is the most powerful being in the universe. My unicorn created everything. My unicorn runs everything. And unless you believe in my unicorn, you are not going to heaven.
And his name is just unicorn. Okay, basically, that's what we're saying.
You just created your unicorn. Jesus has.
Oh, really?
Eyewitnesses.
No, there's 0 eyewitnesses for Jesus. They're making that shit up. They're in the Bible. Okay, so a book. You're telling me that a book proves Jesus, right?
When was the Bible written?
Wait, hold on. Before we get to that, you're telling me that a book proves Jesus' life, right?
Yeah, but it's...
So then Harry Potter must be real too.
No, because...
Harry Potter's in a book, so he must be real.
That's a fantasy.
So is the Bible.
No, it's not, because there are...
No, it's not. See, this is what I'm saying. You're a 5-year-old child. You have the mind of a 5-year-old child. Okay? This is silliness. You talk like a fucking child. Try to figure out your shit and then come back another time. Because this is just nonsense.
Yeah, it's that frontal lobe brain damage is what that is. It's, that's what religion does. It takes away the ability to think critically.
Yeah.
To say there were multiple eyewitnesses, they're in the Bible. The Bible was written 300 years after the supposed crucifixion. Yeah. Also, I want to point out that during the time that the crucifixion supposedly happened, the Roman Empire kept extremely extensive records.
Yeah.
We have records for most executions carried out by the state, right? They kept very good records. And yet, somehow, this very prolific figure during that time, who was sentenced by the state to unalive very publicly, somehow there's no record of that. We have records of all the others that took place at that time, but not that one.
Yeah, we also have several scholars that were alive at the time, several historians that were alive at the time, and none of them, all of them missed it somehow. But before we continue, let's say hello to Lert. How you doing, Lert?
Pretty good.
Excellent. I'm good. What's on your mind?
That I disagree that God is just your imagination.
Fantastic. And so you believe that God is real and actually exists?
Yes.
Okay, great. And what is your evidence of that?
Can I put in my religion, Islam?
You can present whatever you think your evidence is.
The reason why I think that I know that God exists is that the fact that that Muhammad, who was the one who written the Quran, who couldn't read or write, was able to because God gave him it's a miracle for him.
Yeah. So what you're using to justify the idea of evidence is stories from a book. Did Allah split the moon in two?
Yes.
He did. Okay, so I've had enough of talking to childlike people today, so bye. We have Ms. Zakers, is it? Ms. Zakes? MZH?
Yeah, we didn't even give him a chance.
It's morning here in South Africa, so it's morning.
Good morning to you. How you doing? So you have a lot of background noise, but what's on your mind?
Yeah. I'm sorry about that because I'm traveling.
Okay.
Let me start on the book of the Bible, how I see the Bible, me as an individual. Well, in the Bible we hear stories about someone walking about the water, one who questioned the force of gravity. You hear stories about someone...
Okay, hold on. I don't want you to just stream a bunch of ideas together. So you brought up walking on water. Who else walked on water right next to Jesus?
Yes, his disciple walked up. Okay, can I just land?
So wait, why if a regular human walked on water right next to Jesus, why is walking on water special?
Thank you for asking that question. As I said in the beginning, in my opening, this is how I view that story. How does it benefit me, that story? Okay, he walks above the water. These people don't believe that. How is it possible? He tells one of them he can also do it, he does it, and then he in disbelief, and then he just sink. So, to me, how does it help me? It's not about how true it is. No? How it helps me is this. If I'm going to do something and I have a task to do, I have to believe that I can do it. It gives me that strength. I can do it because once
Okay,
I
so
doubt myself,
I got you. So
fail.
you're using the story as a metaphor for your life. That's great. Do you think that Jesus resurrected from being dead to coming back to life?
Yeah. Died and resurrected and all those things. Yes, as I said before.
So you believe that happened?
As I said, no. Sorry, Yoddah. As I said.
Do
before,
you believe that happened?
It's not me believing on all those things that
Do you
happened in the
believe
Bible,
that
Yoddah.
happened? You see how this is going to work? If you don't answer my question, I'm just going to keep asking it because I'm an asshole like that. So, do you believe that happened?
It's not about me believing. No,
okay, so then it's not about me listening to you anymore. Okay?
Yeah.
See how simple that is?
You're asking too tough of a question, man.
I mean, what do you believe is like the easiest question to answer?
There at the end, he did say, no, I don't. Like, no, he doesn't believe that.
That's fine.
I think I see where he was going more so that it is not to be taken literally,
That's
but more
fine.
of a
Yeah.
That's fine.
It's like, I get that, but at the same time, that's not what Christianity, especially nowadays, wants, right?
They present it as literally true.
Yeah, you know what they do is they pick and choose. They pick and choose what they will believe or what they will stand by. And then everything else is that was never meant to be taken literally.
Yeah.
And it's just sad. It's just sad.
Yeah, it's inconsistent. This is what I mean by childish is because when you talk to children, they don't have a sophisticated thought process. Right, that takes time to develop. That's one of the big differences between childhood and adulthood. And even psychologists will tell you that there's phases of that kind of development of discernment and understanding and philosophy and reason and that kind of thing and logic especially. And these people sound to me like 5-year-olds just telling stories and believing like, oh yeah, this is magic and I just believe it. And when you give them the parallel, that's why with that other guy that was up here, I was like, well, my unicorn runs the universe, and if you don't appease him, you don't get to heaven. Well, no, well, that's not true. That's just a story. They can't even see how their own logic sounds ridiculous.
Right. And you know what? I was there, so I'm not going to act like I wasn't. I was a Christian for 57 years. I'm 60 now. So I just recently realized that, because a friend of mine said, listen, I'm not attacking you. I just want you to hear me. Just hear what I'm saying and just use your brain. Just think about what I'm about to say. And I calmed down. It was like, and then he started talking to me, and he said, just think about that. Just because we weren't here, and understand that we were not here when Earth was created. So then, how do we know all about Earth and its creation if we were never here? I'm like, well. He said, well, Earth is like billions of years old. I'm like, okay. He said, so why wouldn't God tell us back billions of years that he created this Earth? And then have someone write it down, or, he's God, right? Didn't God know we were going to have computers and paper and everything? Yeah. Well, then why didn't he just freaking create that back when he created?
Why didn't he write it down?
Right. Why didn't he write? And I said,
he proved his ability to write. He wrote the Ten Commandments for Moses, right? So.
Right. He wrote all this down, and then he said something that really got me. He said, "You have a son, right?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "So let me ask you a question. Would you see your son birth and then leave and never come back?"
Right.
I was like, "Well, no, I wouldn't do that." He said, "Well, then why did God do that to you?"
There you go.
He said, God has never showed you that he's God, right? I said, no. He said, do you pray every day? I said, every day. He said, why is it that he never shows up? He said, would you be a father that never showed up? I said, hell no. He said, well, there you go.
So we're about to start shutting down, but someone else came up. Hank Bernard, is it? Hank Bernard, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. How you doing?
Okay, I can hear you. So we don't...
That must be you, because my shit works beautifully.
No, one question. I'm Dutch. My English is not so very good. I can read it and I can write it, but talking is a little bit difficult. But you said there is no proof Jesus exists ever.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Well, I asked you in the comments some questions and you don't react about it. It's written by a Roman writer. I thought Josephus.
Which one?
Flavius.
Yeah, Josephus.
Flavius.
That's terrible evidence.
Yeah.
For two reasons.
No.
Hold on. Excuse me. I'm not going to waste time on this. I'm not going to waste time on this because it's terrible evidence. Number one, Josephus wrote this in 94 or 95 AD, which is more than 60 years after the alleged events, which is not at all contemporary. And also, what he wrote was a forgery. Eusebius actually forged that. So
it just exists. That's only.
What was that?
He wrote something about it. He wrote the name Jesus.
He didn't write, but it doesn't matter. But Josephus is a terrible example. 60 years after the facts is not anything. It's meaningless.
Yeah, but it was not 6 years. It was 73 after.
It was 94 or 95 AD. Jesus died in what, 33 or 30 or 33, something like that? That's 60 years.
Yes, it was 40 years later.
It was 60 years later.
No, I can count.
No, you can't. Not this time you can't. Because look, you don't know the facts. You don't know the facts.
I'm an historian.
Josephus didn't even write that shit. Eusebius wrote that shit.
So you said it's never written. It's complete nonsense.
This is the best that you have. The best that you have is a forged story 60 years later. That's your idea of proof?
All that books are written later. I know that.
So what is your proof?
But my proof is there's another one, nothing to do with Christianity, who wrote about Jesus. Only 1 cent, maybe 1.5 cents, and it's reliable. That's all. That's all.
Who, when, where? What was the person who wrote this?
Yeah, the same. You said it wasn't true. The Flavia Josephus.
Yeah,
or
but
your,
okay, listen, that's not evidence. The fact that someone wrote the name Jesus on a piece of paper 60 years later is not evidence that Jesus existed.
By that logic, I could say, look at the other prose.
No, please.
So Harry Potter must be real too, then, right?
Please. This
Is
was
is Harry Potter real?
This is not Harry Potter.
Is Harry Potter real?
This is not about Harry Potter.
Is Harry Potter real?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You have no evidence. You have no logic on this matter. This is very, and I'm not interested in your nonsense either. God damn. Oh, some fucking guy wrote something and it turns out he didn't even write it. Look up, I think his name was Eusebius. He's the one that forged that shit. And we can prove that by technology. There's a whole arm of science that analyzes text. And nothing that Josephus ever wrote sounded like that shit, and everything that Eusebius wrote sounded like that shit. So we know it was a forgery. The fuck are you talking about? You got to do better. You got to understand what proof means. Jesus Christmas. Anyway, Jessica, it looks like it's down to us. So what are your final thoughts for the evening?
I will give him credit for being the first one, since at least when I'm on your lives, to bring up that particular piece of quote-unquote evidence, because usually it's Paul's letters, right? And we know what my beef is with Paul's letters. So I'll give him a nugget of credit for that. But, listen, I'm trying to organize my thoughts here.
But I mean, it's kind of weird that that's the best that they have.
Yeah.
That's what I say evidence, and this is what they consider evidence.
Yeah.
60 years later, some dude writes the name Jesus down. Because here's the thing. So anybody else that is thinking about how proven. Oh fuck! What the hell's going on? Whoa! Was that from your end?
Yeah, sorry, I was getting a phone call.
No problem. No problem. So wait, let me just finish on the idea of Josephus. Okay, there were people throughout history as Christianity gained members that wrote about the fact that there were people that believed in this figure called Christ, Jesus the Christ, right? But that doesn't mean that that's evidence that Christ existed. That's just evidence that some people believed in Christ. So you really have to start digging past the surface of these things. Don't just say, oh, Josephus and then Pliny the Younger and then this one and that one, they wrote about him. Well, dig deeper than that. That's the surface level. This person wrote about Jesus, but that doesn't mean that Jesus existed in and of itself. That's not how evidence works. Anyway, it looks like Jessica had to go handle that phone call. So I am going to wrap things up. Sorry, Scott. I've been up 2 hours and I've got some stuff to do before I wrap it up for the evening. So thank you, folks, for coming by. I don't know if I'll be on for the next few days, but if I am, I'll see you. If not, then certainly, hopefully Monday night, I'll be back. But until then, peace, love, and granola. Talk to you soon.